9, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to jump right in.
Okay.
Tonight's program is all about how would you like to grow a real estate empire? 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30. We know it sounds ridiculous when we say you can own 30 pieces of property or 30 different parcels of real estate that are paying you cash flow every single month. But we're true testimony to tell you that we're doing it. It's possible, and you can have it and build it too. So we're happy you're here to learn, and we got some questions for later. Thank you, Sheena. We appreciate you throwing those questions in. We'll acknowledge them really, really soon. But ultimately, we want to help you guys get started on your real estate journey. Time is of the essence. We're at a really unique point in American history, and I know that sounds so philosophical, but realistically, with this presidency, with the way our market is, and with the opportunities we have in front of us, we really want to just motivate you guys, empower you with information, and really help you get started on this journey. So even if you just start with one, and one could be the home you own, the townhouse, the condo, 2 could be, the next, and so on and so forth. But we've been able to accumulate property year over year, consistently and predictably. And that really came with our system and our infrastructure. And that's really what we're hoping to share with you today.
Absolutely.
So let's go on and get started.
So we know that you all want to build your own empire, to John's point, that pays you consistently month over month. And for us, the secret sauce is what we call the GPS Navigator effect. And we call it the GPS Navigator effect because just like a GPS, it takes you, when you pull up your GPS on your smartphone, it takes you from wherever you are and leads you directly to where it is that you want to go. And, while that may sound blatantly obvious because we know that that's, what GPSs do, but the reality is that, honestly, a lot of people that are investing in real estate, specifically engineers, MBAs, and professionals, they don't have a proven path that they can follow to take them from where they are to where it is that they want to go.
And another analogy to Rochelle's point is for all of us who were around on the internet in 2004, 5, 6, when it was dial-up and AOL's You Got Mail, we all know the days of MapQuest before we had Apple Maps and Google Maps. So we know we had to go online, print our GPS, and it was a lot more analog. Right. Today, we have these supercomputers in our hand, and this can exponentially help you grow way faster. So although it may seem primitive and cheesy, we ask you to bear with us and, suspend disbelief for at least this webinar.
Absolutely. Because, the thing about it is, even though most of us are professionals, we're MBAs, we're engineers, or we have some sort of corporate position, when most people are investing in real estate, they're kind of like rolling the dice and they don't know where it's going to end them up, right? And so it may grow their net worth, it may not. And that it really causes them to live in a constant state of fear and uncertainty, which doesn't actually do them any service at all.
And another thing that we're concerned about is we're not in the business of gambling.
Right.
Speculation can be calculated risk. But without that strategic framework, like Rochelle said, it's really hard to understand what does 5 years look like? What does 10 years look like? So really, we don't want you to end up at a dead-end path where you realize, I went the wrong way. And going the wrong way is okay. But in terms of time, we want to make your trip a little more efficient.
And for those people that do experience some success, because they don't have a proven process, they're not able to replicate it. So it's like, I did it one time, but I'm almost in a constant state of fear because I'm not sure if I can do it again. And, I did this one time, but maybe I should never sell this because I don't know how I can replicate it. And so when you think about really growing your portfolio year over year, consistent net worth growth, it's really hard to do.
And part of that fear is around the financial burden. When you think about it, who wants to lose their savings? Who wants to risk their credit? Who wants to lose the down payment that took them some time to build?
Right.
And the wrong decision could put you in a financial burden. It could cause a default. It could cause a bankruptcy or foreclosure. So, in real estate, especially in today's generation of HGTV and all these shows with flipping houses, there obviously is a lot of hope and determination for being an owner, for property ownership, et cetera. But really, we want to take the fear out of the equation. And not only do we want to lead with confidence, but we want to lead with strategy. So confidence and strategy is what we're going to pair.
Right. And for most corporate professionals, the harsh truth is that, they have this hope and determination for the future, but they really are in this fear of making the wrong decision. And they don't know if they're going to make any progress towards growing their wealth. Maybe tomorrow their money can start growing for them, or perhaps it will be just a short period of time before they're able to actually see progress but they don't actually really know. And when they roll the dice, they're just not really sure where it's going to land. And so that's the harsh truth and the reality that most people face.
But it doesn't have to be your reality, and that's why we're here today.
Not
we're
at
here
all.
to help you.
Absolutely.
So only engineers, MBAs, and professionals. And we don't want to limit you if you don't fit in one of these categories, but I'll tell you the truth. Real estate is a capitally intensive business. It takes consistent income, it takes maturity, it takes credit, and it takes the financial wherewithal and the professionalism to succeed. So if you are not one of these people, it doesn't mean we don't want you. It doesn't mean we're not speaking to you. It just means that you have an opportunity to level up. And most of our clients and customers fall into the category of engineer, MBA, and corporate professionals.
And the reason why is because, you might be making good money already, right? You're in a good financial situation, but you're really trying to figure out, how can I maximize the money that I'm earning, right? And no matter how much money you make, execution is critical. You can't afford to make any mistakes. You can't afford to actually lose money. And most importantly, we can't afford to lose time.
So we want you to get comfortable with the statement that my net worth grows with each investment I make, and I can track it predictably.
Right.
Consistently.
Right.
And this is almost a game of pattern recognition.
Right.
So just like you guys evolve through school, through corporate, through the world, you're recognizing the same patterns, and we're going to use those as signposts to keep us moving forward, like I said, confidently and consistently.
Because honestly, wouldn't it be a shame if after all this schooling, all this education, and you're going to work day in and day out, and you honestly have nothing to show for it? That's the differentiating factor.
So we'll take a step back, and my name is John Delia. I'm one of the founders of Housing JV.
And I'm Rochelle Delia.
This is my wife, and she's a co-founder. And really, I'm 29. Rochelle is
33.
33?
2, something like that.
Not so old.
Right.
And what we've been able to do over the last 3 years is turn small sums of money into a 19 plus building portfolio of cash flowing property.
Right.
Which is extremely remarkable, but it's not.
And over the next few minutes, we're going to show you exactly how we've been able to grow our portfolio and how you can leverage a similar system to build a real estate empire of 5, 10, 20, even 30 rental units that pay you cash flow every single month on demand.
And I promise you, it's not too good to be true.
Not at all.
But you may have to do the hard work to get there.
Right. You can definitely do the same.
So we're also going to share with you the biggest mistakes engineers, MBAs, and professionals make when purchasing real estate. Everybody makes mistakes. Mistakes are okay. However, just like in sports, and you take some of the greats, the best athletes typically have coaches and mentors to help them maximize the playbook. Right. We want to help you maximize the playbook. As Rochelle mentioned earlier, you're not in a position to lose money. None of us are. So we don't want to hold you back with the time it'll take if you make those unnecessary mistakes.
Absolutely. In addition to that, we're going to discover the 2 things that real estate multimillionaires have that those that reach a financial plateau that they don't have.
And we're going to show our 8-step proven system that unleashes your real estate empire and shows you how you can put this to start working for you right now. So you don't have to wait till next week, next year. I need my credit. I need a down payment. Those are all excuses.
Excuses.
So if you have excuses, please leave them at the door. And let's continue moving forward.
Absolutely. So these are the exact same strategies that we've used to grow our real estate business. And to John's point, it is over 19 buildings.
We'll get to billions.
Right, we'll get there. 19 buildings and valued at over $4 million today. And this is exactly what you can do as well. These are some of the investments that we've already made and some of the partners that have chosen to invest with us.
So, you're looking at these 2 buildings, and the one on the left, we actually bought for $5,000 as a vacant structure in an urban neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio. And I say $5,000. We buy houses for $5,000.
We do.
Now, rightfully so, you should say we're crazy.
Right.
We're crazy.
We are.
We have to be crazy.
Gotta be.
Now, 3 years later, we've sold that same top left house for $72,000 in cash. Not to mention that we rented it out for 3 years consistently.
Correct.
Our total investment in this house was $30,000 plus the 5, so $35,000, and we were able to exit, as I mentioned, for $72,000 in a short amount of time. That is rapid appreciation. We had cash flow, and it's excellent. And the one on the below it,
right? Just the only thing I was going to add to that is that it produced an annualized return that was amazing, and then the appreciation was essentially just a cherry on top. So we tend to invest for cash flow, not for appreciation, but obviously whenever it comes, so much the better.
And, you know, the house on the bottom is just another example. We were able to purchase this house with a down payment. The total mortgage was about $30,000. This house is currently rented for $895 a month.
Pretty much 900.
We put $10,000 into it, so $15,000 out in cash. And it's been rented for the 4 years we've owned it. We recently got an appraisal back on this property for $106,000. Right. And on the right, you'll see a couple of our housing JV members and partners who we are so grateful and appreciative to have. And, you know, one example is, you know, one of our partners was really frustrated, and I'd say they were anxious. They wanted to get in the game. They felt like they were behind. But really, after they joined and after we provided some mentorship and coaching, we helped slow them down, hone in on the goals that they had, and figure out a strategic path to get them there without taking too much risk. And obviously, you need to take risk, but you know,
education mitigates risk.
Exactly.
And you know, really the point is, over the past few years, we've been committed to helping professionals and really a group of some of the sharpest people that we know to accomplish two things. One, grow their net worth consistently. And the second thing they wanted to do was grow their generational wealth consistently and predictably over time. And that's really the secret sauce and what we've been focused on for these past few years.
So if you're a working professional looking to maximize your financial situation and unlock the future of, like Rochelle mentioned, the legacy and the wealth, that's really what we're hoping to help you do. Really, you can get to the $1 million level in real estate. Rochelle and I are real estate millionaires. It sounds crazy to say. I was watching the debate almost last night. And, you know, I pulled up an article about Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders is a billionaire. He's worth like $2 or $3 million. Oh, my God. Well, Bernie Sanders is 77 years old.
Right. How long did it take him to get to be,
you know,
a single millionaire?
So, you know, the point is guys, because you are in a leadership position, because you have a high education, because you have the capacity that you do, we're going to help you. And we hope to teach you how to maximize that situation,
right, to
do more good, to help people, but then to help yourself financially.
Right. Nobody wants to be in school this long and not actually see any progress. So, you know, the top three, there are three categories of people that we tend to work with, right? So the first category are engineers. Those are people that have already decided that real estate investing is for them, but they really can't afford a misstep, right? You know, I'm an engineer, and I know that our favorite phrase is, I'm an engineer.
I'm an engineer.
Because
I'm an engineer. And I'm a millionaire.
Because it makes us feel smart.
Sorry.
And when you're trying to feel smart, you know, you can't afford to have that misstep or that mistake because you invested so much time into your expertise, right?
Yeah.
The second genre of person is an MBA. MBAs tend to love the idea of investing in the future, but they really have trouble implementing those concepts for their personal situation. It's almost like when you have an MBA, you're used to implementing things at the corporate level, but how do you dial it back to make decisions for your own personal situation? So we really help shine light on that. And then other corporate professionals, they're just busy with life. And we all know the slug of driving into work and you're like, oh, I can't believe I'm a member of the rat race. And you yearn for more, you know that you deserve more, and you know that you want more. And real estate is something that you can, I'm going to say easily add to your portfolio to really give you that leading edge that you're just not going to get sitting at your cubicle every day.
And, you know, we will say before we get into this testimonials, we're not telling you to leave the cubicle. And if it's an open floor plan, fine, that's great too. Because what we want you to do is maximize the position you're in.
Right.
We don't want you to jump ship for this grand vision of entrepreneurship. No need. Let's leverage your income. Let's leverage your credit. Let's leverage your leadership.
Right.
And let's help you get to the next level.
And it can be a great compliment. For me, one of the greatest things that real estate investing gave me was the ability to show up so much more confidently at work. You know, if you can actually say, hey, this is what I do, and I can share critiques and suggestions for improvement, and I don't have to worry about any backlash because you're not my everything. That allows you to show up that much more authentically at work every day, that much more professionally at work every day, and really go for those promotions and almost like live your best life at a level that you would not be able to otherwise.
So one of our clients, Christopher, he came to work with us, and really, like I said, he felt he was behind. He wanted to provide for his family and his two daughters. And he really had aggressive goals, and he wanted a clear path to get there. He found us online, and after following for a while, he decided to reach out and begin to work with us.
Right.
Now, we wanted to help him get unstuck from the analysis of paralysis.
Right.
And it's almost like having two options. There's one thing about having no options,
Right.
but when you have too many options and too many theories, and in real estate, there's flipping, there's wholesaling, there's buy and hold, there's all these different genres you can get into. But that complexity makes it really difficult to understand what's right for my personal situation.
Correct.
So Chris had already made his first home purchase. He was already there. He was an homeowner. He was ready to get past that home ownership level. But what he needed to understand is what is my income goal? How long is it going to take me to get there? And what path do I need to get there?
He needed a clear formula for execution.
And that's what we helped him to develop. And essentially what he discovered is I don't need to be hanging out just in residential. I really need to make my way over to the apartment sector and buying multifamily units. Mm-hmm. And he decided confidently that, look, my goal is 14 units. Although it's, let's say, 2018 and I'm not there today, I know by 2021, not only am I going to be on the right path, but I'll achieve my goal. So we were able to cure some of that anxiety and slow things down a bit to say, look, buddy, you're on the right pace. You're on the right path. Slow down. Let's not make careless and reckless decisions because we're anxious. A lot of people are anxious, but I'll tell you, this is a lifelong sport. So, that in a lifestyle, that investment you made in your education and your future, you did it for a lifetime, not just a current, generation right now. So let's just continue.
Right.
So another one of our partners
is Gerard.
Gerard, high skilled professional software sales guy, making great income, doing really well. Once again, he wanted to make sure he was on the right path to be a millionaire, as he knows he's going to be.
Right.
And really all we did was help him gain confidence to invest in himself. And it's like he didn't want to just give his money over to the adults. And what we mean by that is typically when you got a great job, you might go hire a financial advisor. Believe it or not, that's how Rochelle and I met, through our financial advisor.
It is.
So what you do is you go to the financial advisor, or let's say your parents, for advice. Mm-hmm. And typically we're going to the adults for them to spew onto us what's best.
And tell us what to do.
And really, he didn't want someone telling him what to do. He wanted to know the ingredients and the formula to tell himself and his own family what to do. And that's really where we stood and stepped in. We don't want to be the adults where we control you, your portfolio, your income. No.
It's really the concept of I can either give a man a fish and he can eat for a day, or I can teach a man to fish and he can eat for a lifetime. And he really wanted to learn how to fish for himself.
So everything we're talking about is a predictable system for the clients we work with. And this works for both traditional and non-traditional situations. I'll tell you, when I got in the real estate business, I started off with creative financing, meaning I did not go to banks. Right. I bought a lot of buildings in cash. I bought a lot of buildings conservatively and creatively. And Rochelle herself was able to get a lot of financing due to the engineering degree, due to the job, due to a lot of these great scenarios that a lot of our clients share. So we don't want to tell you that there's a one-size-fits-all path to success in real estate.
Because there's not.
There's not. There's so many options. So this really works for those who are ready to implement now. And it's based on a proven track record.
Right.
We do it for ourselves. We can open up the books. Right. We can show you the archives. We can show you the case studies. And we can show you the others who have been able to follow that path.
So it doesn't really matter what your credit score is. It doesn't really matter if you have a W-2 income, or if you're an independent contractor, or if you're self-employed. It can work for both those traditional scenarios where you have a day job, as well as non-traditional as well. But the biggest thing is that you have to be ready to implement now and really be focused on results.
So the point is, what are you willing to give up? What are you willing to sacrifice to get to the greater vision and goals that you have for yourself?
So now in the real estate investing world, we're sure that you've noticed that people fall into one of three categories.
And a few categories, but this is how we place people in buckets. So bucket number one.
Group number one. Those are people that are sitting on the sidelines.
They're a speculator. And I also like to call speculators flappers, because they sit on the sideline, they watch the market go by, they have all this analysis and all these excuses on why they're not participating, why they can't participate.
Right.
They have all the commentary on participation.
They sound really smart with all their analysis paralysis.
But they're not doing anything.
Nothing at all.
So it's like the person who goes to the game, who's in the arena, and who's yelling at LeBron, Kobe, or whoever. However, buddy, you're in the stands. he's on the floor
Right.
shooting the ball.
Right.
You don't want to be a spectator. You really don't. And it's okay if you start as a spectator, but curb and suspend your disbelief once again. Let's talk about the next category.
The next category are shirt losers. Those are people that lose their shirt in an economic downturn. We've all heard those folks. I used to be in real estate.
I used to be in real estate when the market was booming.
Oh, what? I hear real estate is good.
Well, buddy, what happened? Why aren't you in the business anymore? Why
Right.
did you get out?
Right.
Real estate is a lifestyle business, and it's a lifetime business.
Right.
So when I hear people say, I used to, yeah, I used to be an arrogant asshole. I'm sorry. I used to, but I'm not. That's a good thing, right? I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding. But it's the point is, it's like, look, those who come in and out of the market when the market is good and the market is bad, that shows me one thing. You don't have stability, you don't have consistency, and your strategy doesn't work through economic downturns.
Right.
You
actually didn't know what you were doing.
You didn't. And the premise that we're providing you tonight is we want a predictable system year over year that can take you from 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 multi-millions in real estate. And that doesn't stop when the market is bad.
It does not stop.
And finally, you have us.
The empire builders. These are the folks that are out there killing it. They're consistently adding properties to portfolio year over year, and they're not complaining about the noise. And what's the noise? In real estate, that's tenants, toilets, and trash. Those are the people that are really focused on their goals, and they're able to cut through the noise and get it done.
And the point about that is more so real estate is about leadership.
It is.
And a leader doesn't make excuses. A leader takes responsibility. So like our old president, Harry Truman, it's like the buck stops here. I can't place the blame on a bad tenant. I can't place the blame on a sewer backup. I can't place the blame on, I signed these papers and I didn't understand.
I can't place the blame on anyone but myself. I
am responsible for the outcomes that come.
I create my own future.
So,
what is it that allows some people, so some engineers, MBAs, and corporate professionals to scale past the 2 to 3 property mark and allow them to propel into owning hotels, apartment complexes, and other industrial buildings, while others just seem stuck in place or mystified at the people that are actually out there killing it and wondering how'd they do it?
Wait, we know. They're magical. They got pixie dust. We know. They're very, very special. And you're not one of them.
Oh.
Do you want to be one of them?
You can be.
You are. You just have to own it.
Right. So after talking to hundreds of corporate professionals.
Hundreds.
And being in the profession in the industry for over a decade, honestly.
Over 10 years.
We've recognized that the empire builders, they have 2 things present that the speculators and the shirt losers don't. And most people only have one. And most of the time they don't have any at all. And the truth is that if you have both of these systems in place, it becomes very simple and honestly predictable to grow to $1 million of net worth, if not more. And
I know $1 million may sound like a lot, but I'll tell you, one house might be worth $100,000 or one house might be worth $200,000.
Right.
So 200 times 5 is $1 million.
Right.
Or 100 times 10 is $1 million.
And 10 houses is not that crazy. Think about it. You only have 10 clients. That's it. That's not any kind of crazy business. You're only serving 10 people. And we're not talking just about the cash flow. We're talking about that's the value, the economic value. It doesn't mean you're not getting a paycheck to service those clients, which comes in the form of rent and cash flow. Mm-hmm. So we do need to decouple those. Absolutely. But the potential and the possibility is limitless whenever you decide you are ready. Correct. So the best way we can describe this is with a story about the rise of Bitcoin, because we all know about Bitcoin. Right. We all know about Bitcoin. Me personally, I heard about Bitcoin maybe in 2009, 10. I remember I was in Cambridge. I was going to a conference and I was on the train talking to my friend David, and he's telling me about this thing called Bitcoin. Well, the one thing that John didn't do when he was thinking about Bitcoin is he never went to Google and said, "Hey, Siri, what's Bitcoin?"
Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. It is a decentralized digital currency without a central bank or single administrator that can be sent from user to user on the peer-to-peer Bitcoin network without the need for intermediaries.
Wow, thanks a lot, sir. No, thanks. But the point is, like I said, you have this supercomputer that is going to exponentially help you grow. Back then, I was unwilling and I was stubborn to do the research myself. primary source data,
Right.
firsthand research.
Right. And to that point, back in 2009, everyone was focused on investing in inexpensive stocks and following the Great Recession, which makes a lot of sense. And, the people that decided to focus on the stock market completely, they were ignoring the validity, and they really didn't take the time to research Bitcoin at all, less known its potential, right? Well, I think we all know what happened there. This resulted in only a small number of what we call early adopters that invested in Bitcoin. And, the rest of the world was pretty much just remaining skeptical.
So here's a chart from 2010, when actually I first heard about it,
Mm-hmm.
till when we saw the mainstream media picked it up in 2018, and it peaked at nearly $20,000.
Right.
Then, so it did a supernova all the way up as a pattern,
Right.
and it came right back down, and now we're nearly at $10,000 again today.
And, what the point is that once Bitcoin started to take off in 2018, you had a lot of what we call latecomer investors. And those people decided to jump in and try to get a part of it.
The mainstream media are late-come investors.
And we all know what happens next. Look after the big red arrow, right?
A lot of people lost their shirt.
They got slaughtered.
And what do? We blame it on Bitcoin.
And it's not Bitcoin's fault that the market corrected. But the early adopters, they were able to lock in their gains, right? They bucked the mainstream system. They were able to really look at their fundamental analysis and amass fortunes, right? And leave everybody else essentially kicking themselves.
Yeah. So don't be like Bitcoin. Let's get in. Let's do some research. Let's get firsthand data and information on our own. A lot of us, it's very easy and convenient to just take the opinions of others. And one thing that Rochelle and I do really well is we'll dig deep into the details on our own, regardless if it's unpopular.
Right.
And that right there is one of the main secrets to success.
Right.
You might be contrary to the mass market, which is difficult because here you have your peers telling you one thing,
Right.
although you believe something separately.
Right.
And how uncomfortable can that be when everybody just wants to get along, right?
It's so hard to think for yourself, especially in today's society. But, we want to pause for a moment and let this next point really sink in, right? We don't want to rush past this one. And so the main thing that we wanted to make was that while the whole world was obsessed over the stock market, there were a few very smart investors that researched the merits of Bitcoin for themselves, right?
Exactly.
And so they focused on understanding the fundamentals of the investment as well as the technology and ignored all the hype.
And that, my friends, is the secret sauce. Ignoring the hype.
Absolutely.
Ignoring the news, ignoring Twitter, ignoring the memes on Instagram, and thinking for yourself, which is a challenge in today's world. But if you can do this, this is really going to propel you forward past a lot of your peers.
And the truth is that today in real estate investing and in the wealth building space, a lot of professionals are repeating that same history of Bitcoin. Most engineers, MBAs, corporate professionals, they're obsessed with trying to buy whatever property or whatever investment their friend says or their banker says they qualify for. And they're completely ignoring having a systemized system.
Hey, let's build a new construction house. Let's build a new house. We qualify. They say we qualify for $350,000.
Right.
We can build a new house from the ground up.
And they're not able to ignore the noise, right? And really and truly, you want to have a system for finding, evaluating, and executing investments that meet your goals consistently, year over year, month over month.
So most professionals think they're on the right track, but they feel like they don't. What am I saying? They feel like they don't have to do more.
Right.
But the truth is,
they have to.
You have to do a lot more.
Absolutely.
So the big but in this
is that they're sinking more and more time into what ultimately is a fundamentally flawed plan. So they're investing, but
not in the right category.
They're not sowing on fertile ground, essentially. And so remember what we told you about the empire builders, right? They have two things in place that those sideliners and those struggle bunnies, which is what we call them, that they don't, right?
So what do you think those are? Okay, we'll give it to you. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the two things you actually need in place to succeed that we have and that's really helped us and that others don't. The number one thing we have is a team.
Right.
And we know that sounds so simple.
Right.
It sounds really, really simple, right?
Right.
But it's not. A lot of people want to get into real estate. They don't have a broker. A lot of people want to get into real estate. They don't have an attorney.
Right.
A lot of people want to get into real estate. They've never called a title company. A lot of people want to get into real estate. They don't even know an appraiser.
Right.
A lot of people want to get into real estate and they don't know anybody who is a subject matter expert to help them.
They don't have anybody to call.
A lot of people get sick and they go to Minute Clinic and they get help, right?
Right.
It's the same thing.
Right.
Who are you going to call? Who's going to be on your team? Who is your support?
Right.
We structurally have support. It's our backbone.
Right.
And this helps us mitigate risk. We can go into situations that seem scary, that seem high risk, but the truth is our team is bad. They're really super sweet. They're excellent. And they can help us solve our problems.
Right. And then even more so than just having that team in place is how do you leverage that team, right? Because you want to leverage that team to what's in it for me? What's in it for you? And what's in it for you is how you leverage that team to get high returning investments that keep producing income year over year and grow your net worth.
So the premise is that you actually want to be the coach and the team members you're coaching to get to your Super Bowl and your Super Bowl or your NBA playoffs or your NBL or your whatever victory, your Olympics. Yeah, right. That's the millions. That's the portfolio.
Right.
That's those properties paying you consistently. A lot of people want their team to lead them. No, it doesn't work like that.
Not at all.
You have the vision. You have the goal. You know what the outcome is. Input, you know what you're going to input,
Right.
and you know what you want the output to be, and you fill the gap with your team members to get that.
Absolutely. Because ultimately, it comes down to this. And what is that? If you can't pay money to acquire income or grow your net worth, then you do not have an investment strategy.
Hey, Rochelle, what does it mean, pay money to acquire income? What does
Right.
it actually mean?
You're buying an income stream.
I don't get that.
Like you're literally, what are you purchasing? You're purchasing future income. You're purchasing net worth growth over time.
Okay.
And if you don't have that, you don't have an investment strategy. You're just rolling the dice and hoping it works out.
So let's get down to business.
Right on. So we're going to show you exactly how you can get a predictable system for selecting high producing investments and grow your net worth starting today.
If you're ready, we can start today.
Right. So remember, we said the two things that matter in the beginning.
But we'll give you two more.
Right. So in addition to your team and that system or that ability to leverage them for investments, the other two things that matter are your return on investment and your mindset.
And really, there's this saying that if you don't have an imagination, you're basically blind.
Yeah.
And that's really what real estate is it's if you can think it, you can have it. If you say, I want X building and X amount of income, the product is out there for you.
It's all in here.
There's raw land, there's buildings, but it's your mindset. A lot of us have a limiting mindset and it's affecting our subconscious.
Right.
And there's the power of your subconscious that will hold you back. And you will sow seeds to trap you and chain you into your position.
Right.
So we really need to unleash your mindset. And once again, you being here is starting that process, listening to us. We've been where you were. One day, Rochelle and I both woke up. I remember I woke up at like 3 a.m. and I was looking at my goals and I was like, man, like I'm spinning my wheels.
There's no actual progress.
I'm working so hard. We have all this stuff, but I'm not at my goals.
Right.
I don't have what I want. We haven't had the success we want. And that was like the trigger, the click. That was the moment we realized, look, I got to unleash our brains to allow us to get to limitless potential.
Absolutely.
And it's truly limitless.
It is indeed. So what about you? What if you're not making the income that you want right now?
The real question is, are you making what you're worth right now?
And for most people, the answer is no. We all already know that, right?
Answer the question. For me, I was not. I'm worth way more.
Right.
I'm worth way too much.
And if you're not, then let us ask you this. What is your clear outline or plan to grow your net worth?
Come on, give us details, guys. Give me details. What's the clear path forward to grow your net worth?
Right?
It sounds simple.
And if you don't have a plan, then answer us this.
Please.
What did you do in the last 7 days to either connect with or improve your team?
And that sounds wild, like, oh, in the last 7 days, but literally in the last 7 days, I've connected with my attorney. I met one of my wholesalers. I reached out to my title company. I had some of my guys who are contractors on the ground.
Right.
I'm always in contact or in touch with my team
Right.
because your net worth is your network.
Right.
And that's that line we always hear about networking, right, guys?
Right. It's really food for thought, right? And the thing about it is, in the investment game, it's very easy to get distracted by all these shiny objects, right? We always want to follow the things that sound cool and sound really shiny, but they may not actually be progressing to us.
And the other thing about shiny objects are the shiny objects don't always pay as much as the dirty objects.
Right.
It's
Gold is actually in the ground.
it's in the ground.
Gold has to be mined.
Oil is in the dirt. It's in the ocean. It has to be penetrated and spewed up. You know, diamonds are in the ground. They're in the cave. All of these things are completely unsexy businesses until somebody does the work to pull them out, refine them, extract them, purify them, cleanse them, and then they go to the mass market. And that's really where we come in. We
Absolutely.
pull these ugly assets, we make them pretty,
Right.
and then we sell them to the retail market for a premium. And then their friends say, oh my God, that house is beautiful, girl. I can't believe you. What'd you pay for? Oh my God, I would love to live here.
Absolutely. Because the raw reality is that your plan and building a strong team, in addition to those other items, those combined are the only 4 things that matter. And if you're focused on anything else, you're succumbing to the noise.
A distraction.
1000% distractor.
So let's talk about the empire buildings in the investing game that we're in right now.
Right. So these are the players with 6-figure cash flows and true wealth.
And let's talk about it. Like, you know, you can have a 6-figure job. That's $100,000 a year.
Right.
So yes, it sounds like, oh my God, I'm making 6 figures a month or 6 figures a year in rent. But really,
it's actually really, really
that's
doable.
a job of a high paid professional. Come on. And not even that really high paid, depending on what market you're in.
True story. And what makes those people different is that they have a predictable system for growing their net worth, and they know these 2 numbers.
So what are those 2 numbers?
Those two key metrics are, 1, the return they need to have to make any investment worthwhile.
How much money do you need to make?
Right. A lot of people think that it's rude when we ask that question.
And it's not about the Bible. It's not about evil. It's not about anything malicious or dirty or disingenuous.
Or even limiting yourself. It's not.
But the truth is, if you can't quantify it,
Then it's not a real goal.
It's not a real goal. We can't reverse engineer it and break it down and get to it.
Right.
So the first step is to quantify the outcome in business. And in business, it's a KPI, guys, your key performance indicators, your metrics.
It's beginning with
This
the
is
end in mind.
crucial.
Right.
And the next thing,
How many units do you need in order to reach that goal?
and unit is a jargon we use in the business. And
Right.
let's break that down.
Right.
Most people, when we talk about investing in real estate, they see real estate as buildings and property.
Right.
Now, once you become a true investor and you learn the lingo, a unit is basically a door that I can receive, or a space that I can receive income from.
Right.
So let's say I have a duplex. That's 2 units. A 4-unit. Oh, 4-unit. 4 units. A single family. 1 unit. Unless you're renting it by the room, then you might have 3 or 4 units, right? So you got to get into the jargon and the language of real estate, and we really quantify it. So although we own 19 plus buildings, we have over 50 units.
Right.
So 50 times, let's say 500 in rent,
Good money.
that's some good money, right? Or 50 times 850 in rent.
Which is more
It's even better.
in line. Yes.
You know, or 50 times 80 units a month. And that's, 50 grand. So 50 grand times 12 is 600,000 a year. But if you don't know how much money do I need and how many units do I need to get there, you're really barking up the wrong tree.
Or no tree at all. Right. And the thing about it is, while most speculators and short losers, right? Those people, they try to pull a rabbit out the hat to get their cash flow, to get to their cash flow
Do
goals.
you believe in magic?
They'll invest in anything at all. They'll take their money, right? And the truth is that they're really not having a thorough plan and thinking through what it is that they're doing.
And others who even think they have a thorough plan, they're like this guy on the left, where they buy a property. Oh, I own 2 or I own 3. And I'm like, hey, buddy, guess what? I know when you're going to plateau. I know how you're going to plateau. And I know why you're going to plateau.
Right.
Because you didn't have the foresight to plan. That rock is going to get heavier and heavier at each elevation.
And their plan B, honestly, is just to get a better paying job. right? As opposed to actually refining their plan.
So you're going to get more schooling and more debt and take more time and more energy to get another job.
Right.
And then you're going to move cities and rebuild all your connections and all this and all. Guys, come on. We got to work smarter.
But what makes the empire builders different is that they have a predictable system where they can spend a predictable amount of time to review a predictable amount of investment opportunities, to generate a predictable amount of cash flow, to generate a predictable net worth, again, year after year.
And another way to predict where you're going is called use GPS. Hey Siri, how do I get to Subway?
One possibility is Subway on East Main Street.
Okay,
Is
thank
that
you.
the one you're looking for?
No, thanks. No, I'm serious. It's that simple today, guys. Use GPS.
The second is Subway on
Get
East
to your
Main Street.
destination faster. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
So the real question is, what does your system look like, right? And so it all starts with targeting the right kind of investments for the appropriate amount of cash flow that will fit into your lifestyle, honestly, and provide that incremental growth that you need every year.
So most people are so focused on hitting a home run in real estate,
right,
that they they strike out every time. And what I mean by that is once you understand the system, the math, the units, the KPIs, all your job is to focus on getting on base.
That's it.
And you turn it to a double and a triple, and you keep getting on base, and eventually you score a lot of points on the board.
Right.
But you have others who are so focused on trying to hit this windfall amount of money or this huge lump sum, or I'm going to flip a property, I'm going to make a lot of money. You don't have a team. You don't understand the market. You don't have realtors. You don't have anyone.
Right.
So instead, you're going to strike out, and you're going to blame it on what? Who?
Yourself.
You might as well. Look in the mirror, guys.
And so what we do is that we hone in on how much money you want to make and very clearly determine what it will take to get there, right? And so once you have your goal defined and identified, we can prove that you can reach it by calculating what it will take to get there, and then finally identify if there are any untapped strengths that you have that you can leverage to get there in absolute record time.
And as we mentioned earlier, there's no one way to go about the real estate business. You can be creative, you can be traditional, you can be a blend, you can be whatever you want.
It's just about that path that you follow and that strategy that you follow, regardless of what you actually choose to do, right?
Exactly.
So what do they say? Success leaves clues.
So recognize the patterns and let's keep leaving the clues.
Right. And so the result of executing this correctly is that you have a predictable process to grow your empire, again, to that 5, 10, 20, even 30 high producing properties, and they pay you every single month.
Another way to look at this is acting or theater. So I'll give you an example. We all know about high school and college. And when you get to college or high school and you're in a classroom, you have the same characters playing out in theater, right? So you have the people who are in the front of the room. They're really smart. You have the athletes who don't, I'm not going to say they don't care, but they're athletes, no shade. You have the people in the back of the room who come in late. You have the excuse makers. You have the people who tell jokes and disrupt everything, right?
Right.
You've seen this pattern in your life. And then take that same pattern and apply it to the real world. You have the people who go to the club and party all the time. You have the people who start a family right away. You have the people who are single. This is about a predictable pattern, and we just want you to see the signs, which will be the success clues.
Absolutely. And the best part about having a predictable system is that you'll know down to the absolute unit number and the invested capital amount, how your cash flow and your investing efforts will perform.
How well am I doing?
Can you imagine having that amount of clarity? It's a game changer. Nobody else teaches this. Nobody else even talks about this.
And it really brings you to a level of peace. When we talked about the anxiety really comes from uncertainty, not enough clarity, lack of foresight, lack of planning.
Right. And so essentially, you'll finally have that GPS navigator that directs your investment actions to know when and where you need it. It's kind of like cracking the code. To be honest, to execute a predictable wealth building system correctly, we already talked about these 4 things that you need in alignment. And we talked about that already, right? So that's figuring out your cash flow and your team, how to leverage them, how to do specific targeting, and then have that system in place to grow consistently year over year.
So to crack the code, really, we need to look at the cash flow today that you have.
Right. And go forward, right? And so when you have the cash flow today, plus your targeting, plus your team, plus your system, when you have those 4 things in place, you can honestly unlock the code. Like it's a shoo-in, and you can have amazing results, just like those clients that we already talked about earlier that they've experienced.
Now you have to have the right systems to generate the right results. Like I said, because there are so many systems and so many paths and so many ways to go about it, and especially in today's realm of this, social media, the internet, Instagram, YouTube,
right?
You have so many gurus, you have bigger pockets, and no shade once again, but it's overwhelming.
1,000%.
Why did you go get a degree besides you were told to get one?
Right.
Why did you go get an MBA besides you thought it would get you more money? Because you wanted a proven curriculum.
Right.
You wanted a network. You wanted to be able to have a streamlined process to get to a higher paying income rather than spinning your wheels and figuring it out on your own.
Because the reality is you can do this the hard way, right? Every lock has over 10,000 combinations, right? And it's like you're trying to guess what the code is, but because there's so many possible combinations, your likelihood of success is like really low.
And really limited.
You know, you can try to crack it yourself, but who knows if you'll be able to find the right combination that works for you. You know, maybe you'll get there after a year or two.
And I know some of you guys are good at Rubik's Cubes. Fine. Fine.
Right. But the reality is, you know, you might never actually get there.
Exactly. And that, my friend, is a problem.
Right. It wastes time. Right. Or you can just do the easy way, push the easy button, right? You can get the code, you can unlock it, and you can get the results pretty much immediately. And, you know, that's what we do in our own business, right? And that's how we do every day in terms of building our own real estate empire for ourselves and for our clients in their own independent businesses. So I know by now you're probably thinking, how can I get this predictable system to grow my wealth so I can get 5, 10, 20, even 30 reliable, high-producing properties that pay me every single month?
In multiple states, multiple cities, multiple markets, multiple countries. Guys,
When
this
it's cold
system
outside, hot outside, on vacation or
limitless. Are you in Asia? Are you in the Caribbean? Are you
Right.
in the Midwest? Are you in California?
That's the best feeling in the world, getting paid and you're not even there.
Exactly.
Right? So honestly, this system is perfect for you if you want to have a consistent income beyond your day job and you no longer want to be beholden to working for the man, right?
And you can work for the man,
but you don't want to be
controlled
beholden,
by the man,
right?
Or in fear of the man.
Exactly. And you might want to build generational wealth for yourself and for your family.
And finally, you probably want to grow your net worth down to the dollar, and you want to be sure of it so that you're at peace with your life, with your decisions, and also so that you can make better planning decisions as you have families, as you have partners,
Right.
and as you move forward in whatever goals and passions you want to accomplish.
So if this sounds good to you, then, you know, right now, to be honest, we're looking for a few more dream clients. You know, we're looking for people that we can help them get these kinds of massive results that we've already shared with you, you know? And so for a limited time, we're opening it up to work with people to have essentially their own wealth strategy session. And so essentially, if you meet some of the criteria we're going to discuss in these next few slides. So like we said, we work with 3 specific types of people. In addition to them being engineers, MBAs, and professionals, very specifically, these are people that want to generate more income from properties and they don't want it to take over their lives, right? And they don't want it to require them to deal with tenants, toilets, and trash.
These are people who want to buck the status quo. They don't want to be good enough. They want to be elite and excellent. I'm not saying you want to be pretentious.
Nope.
I'm saying you want to be at a level of excellence in terms of performance.
Where you don't have to worry anymore.
Yeah. So you're an elite investment athlete.
Right. And finally, these are people that want to dramatically increase their net worth, right? They're tired of just whatever their employer will give them. They want to join the group of high caliber people. They want to live where the elites live. They want to make money with less stress and honestly less vulnerability. So we'll talk about here's how the process works. So we're going to be focused on specific custom tailored strategy for execution, right? And these engineers, it's really for engineers, MBAs, and professionals who are already working to grow their net worth and they're making some investments, right? You may already be investing in stocks and bonds and mutual funds.
Your retirement account. You might even have a home. We actually hope you do have a home,
right?
Because that showed you've taken the foresight to at least start this path of progress.
Absolutely.
And some of these people, they actually own 1 or 2 rentals, but they see the results we say when you're going to hit a plateau and you're like, why am I stuck? I'm doing fairly well and everyone thinks I'm doing well, but I myself, it's like, when people comment on my health and tell me, hey, I look great. I'm like, I don't feel great. I feel like I'm 15 pounds overweight. I got to go running. But hey, I'll take the compliment.
Right. And even more so, these are folks that they know that on the inside, they know that they're special. And they believe they can build a real estate empire and reach, high 6 figures or even 7-figure net worth doing it. And
what we find is our target client and the people we're most successful with are people who are willing to invest in themselves.
Right.
And I know it's like, I don't want to be sold and I don't want to do this. The truth is you got to keep pouring back into yourself. You're the highest value asset you're ever going to have, regardless of the tangibilities of property, of all these other things.
And it's not really a selfish thing. These are people that really have a heart of service and the heart of helping other people, right? And they want to invest in ways that are productive for all the parties involved. So they don't want to feel like they're greedy. It's like, I want to pay it forward in some way.
And so who's this not for? Who won't this work for? And that's really simple.
Right.
People who don't have a stable income, we ask you to sit this one out right now.
Right.
And let's work on getting you consistent income.
Right.
Because you need investable funds to be in real estate and to allocate to physical assets. And I remember, an attorney once told me, John, well, I'll give you 2 examples of what 2 attorneys told me. One, John, real estate is not for the faint of heart or faint of pocketbook. Real estate is a capitally intensive business, and it requires a lot out of that responsible party. Mm-hmm. And the next thing he said was, John, if you get in the ocean with sharks, they eat.
You're going to eat.
So you're either going to become a shark or you're going to get eaten.
Right.
So we really need you to get on the path of financial stability, financial consistency, build up your credit, build up your balance sheet, and really start moving forward to be that stable, responsible person you already are.
Right. Also, this isn't for people that make excuses or complain. This is real estate investing is a lifestyle, if we're going to be completely honest with you. Right. And so if you are a person that makes excuses or complain, this probably is not a good fit. Right.
People who get overwhelmed with gathering information, I'm not prepared to make a decision. I need to think about it more. I need to mull over it a little longer. That's okay. Take your time.
Right.
Just don't take our time.
Right.
That's okay.
It's probably not a good fit, right? And most importantly, people that aren't serious about growing their net worth by another $100,000 or even $1 million
in the next 12 months. And we're really serious about that.
Right.
You can exceed leaps and bounds fairly quickly.
Right.
And that's scary because you're like, wow, it's unlocking a cheat code. Right. I didn't know I could go that quick, that fast.
Real estate literally is a cheat code.
But we want you to have that stability to stay in the game, market over market, year over year.
For the long term. Correct. So, the better the fit, the better the results. And, we're looking for people that it's going to be a win-win for. And so this is what we're offering is a personal, custom-tailored one-on-one strategy session with you and us, right? And this is where we really begin to work out what it is that you want and how we can make it happen in the fastest time possible.
So obviously, you guys are going to have questions after this webinar and during. Absolutely. And the truth is, real estate is customly tailored to you in your unique scenario.
And we don't know if we can help everybody.
And that's true. So the strategy session, what it's going to allow us to do is dive deep onto your one-on-one experience, your one-on-one goals, your one-on-one expectations.
Right.
And we can really flesh through the scenario and say, look, Rochelle, I can help you.
Right.
I can get you to your goals.
Right.
Or look, John, I might not be the one to help you, but I have a buddy who might be better service to you in the position that you're currently in right now.
Right. So the next step is to complete let us know that you want to have that private strategy session so we can set up that one-on-one time with you.
Warning, 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 warning. So we're happy you are on this webinar, but just know time is of the essence. And like most things in life, people are busy and we can only dedicate so much time to helping so many people at a current amount of time.
Right.
So we ask, look, if you've sat through this, if you've hung out with us tonight, if you're here, really listen to what we said, reflect on it, mull it over. Maybe you take the night and reach out.
At the end of this call, 1 or 2 things are going to happen. Either you're going to be a fit at the end of our strategy call, either you're going to be a fit and we're going to say, hey, we're going to extend an invitation to you to work with us, right? To be one of our clients. But if we're not a fit, we're going to tell you that, and we're just going to try to add as much value as we possibly can to you and direct you to resources that will be more appropriate. And there won't be any hard feelings, right? There's no obligation at all.
And at the end of this webinar, you're going to do one of two things. You're going to float and you're going to say, oh my God, that was great. I'm really inspired. I'm going to act right now.
Right.
Or you're going to say, yeah, you know what? Let me think about it. And that's okay too.
Right.
Once again, this is not an attack.
Right.
We just really want those people who are tired of being in the same space, in the same place, and watching the time go by.
Because we get it, right? The reality is you're in a good financial situation already, right? The idea is that you just want to maximize it. And we know that execution is absolutely critical. And you can't afford any missteps. You know, you already have money. You already have access to credit. You have a stable income. The reality is you cannot lose time. That is the only resource that is not replenishable, period.
So because time is of the essence, we want to thank you guys. We've been at about an hour. Wow.
Right on.
That went really fast.
It did.
So we do want to acknowledge some questions. If you are interested in what we're offering, a one-on-one, it typically takes about 45 minutes.
That's it.
For we to hop on a Zoom call. I know, right? Hop on a Zoom call and really listen. We're going to listen to you. We're going to listen to your goals. We're going to ask you a lot of questions.
Right. And
we're going to help you accomplish your goals. Because we want more success stories, because your success is going to contribute to our success.
Absolutely.
So we're going to hop into the chat real quick because we did have people pop up questions, and I really want to acknowledge some of them. So we'll bounce back in.
Sheena, I think, was first.
Sheena's first. And how do you start building a portfolio without having a lot of liquid money? Great question. First, it's evaluating your full financial balance sheet or your personal income statement.
Right.
And we'll tell you. Some of the people who have invested with us or we've helped get started investing may not have had the liquid cash, but they may have had credit.
Right.
They may not have credit, but guess what? They've been a corporate professional and they've been working for a long time.
Right.
So they have retirement funds.
Right.
And we've helped them allocate those retirement funds into real estate deals. And most people don't know that you can invest with your IRA. Now,
or your 401k.
There's a few steps you have to take to make sure you do it appropriately.
Right.
But really, we're going to help you uncover the resources you already have.
That you might not even be aware of.
So can you use, your 401k or equity in your home? Yes, you can use equity in your home. And yes, you can use your 401k. But prior to doing any of that,
you need to know
your plan, your strategy, your goals, your outcome, because we're not throwing darts at a board, and we're not just risking the nest egg that you've taken time to build.
Exactly.
Recently, I talked to a potential investor, and we were on a discussion, and he's like, hey, look, I got $25,000. I want to invest. I want 8% interest. I'm looking about 3 years, blah, blah, blah. And I started asking questions, and then I realized, whoa. I don't know if he's fully aware of everything he's saying. So I asked one thing. I said, hey, buddy, how long did it take for you to save that 25 grand? He said, oh, man. I said, I know. It probably took you a long time, right?
Right.
I said, how would you feel if you lost 70% of that money? You'd be devastated. It's like a knife that twists in your gut.
Right.
Nobody needs to endure that kind of pain.
Not at all.
So the first thing we do is talk about strategy and planning, but those are definitely options. So great question, Sheena. Thank you for asking. Now we got Jasmine. Have had an overpriced condo. Oh, overpriced, whatever. Have had an overpriced condo for 2 years. How can I better afford it by leveraging / buying other properties? That's a great question. So the first thing we'd have to do is put together a financial model.
Right.
So we can see how the condo is performing
right now
for you personally and against the market.
Right.
And then we decide, look, based on how it's performing now, and then based on the expectations you have for returns, because obviously if you're saying it's overpriced, you have an ideal state.
Right.
So the first thing we need to discover, Jasmine, what does your ideal state look like from a management standpoint and from an income standpoint?
Correct.
And then what we do is we leverage your current position and how do we structure and reframe the scenario so that we can make it work for you.
Right.
Yeah, essentially make it work for you, because it can. But we need more data. And if you're interested, we'd love to hop on a strategy call. We'd love to evaluate what you have and help you figure out just options.
Absolutely. And just a really quick nugget. A lot of people that live on the coast, so East and West Coast, they like to do what we call geographic arbitrage by taking their coastal money and investing where things are more affordable and they get a better return.
I came from New York, and I tell you, I couldn't buy a hot dog stand for the amount of money it was in New York. But I'll tell you, my first house in Columbus, Ohio, I bought it for $6,900 in 2010. Oh, John, that was so long ago. Okay.
Not even, because I bought one for $7,500 in 2014.
Yeah, Rochelle, that's so long ago. Okay, not even. Well, in 2019, in September, October, November.
Yeah,
in November of 2019, we bought a house for $5,000.
Correct.
And then
technically $4,800.
$4,800, and it's a banger.
Bang.
It's a banger. So
Legit.
the point is like, don't feel like it's not possible.
Right.
Don't feel like it's unfeasible. What we discussed earlier about, we need to unleash your brain, your mindset, your capacity.
Right.
Brandon, let's talk to you. Question for later. What areas, states, cities are you guys investing in? Is it local where you live? We started out local in Columbus, Ohio. Yes.
Right.
And then we realized that for our income goals, for the current market conditions in Columbus, because the economy is booming, we had to diversify. So let me give you an example. A lot of people find comfort in what's familiar. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that is you might be local to your city and you're like, look, I don't want to leave my city. I'm investing in my backyard.
That's fine.
Fine. Don't expect your backyard to pay the returns necessary to make you a millionaire.
Right.
It's not possible. It's not feasible.
Depending on where you live.
Yeah, fine. Fine. But the truth is, we follow the money, follow the return. So currently we're in Detroit, Michigan. We're in Columbus, Ohio. We're in Dayton, Ohio. We're in Toledo, Ohio.
Correct.
And because of our business has expanded, we have partners in Baltimore, Savannah, Philly, Camden, and we're going to keep expanding.
Right.
But
the main point I wanted to make here is that the strategy, it doesn't matter where it is that you live. You can apply the same strategy regardless. So we have investors, to John's point, we have investors that live outside of Philadelphia. We have investors that live in California. We have investors that live outside of New York.
Texas,
as well as Florida. So it's not so much about where we choose to invest. It's about
where does our money make the most sense to provide us the returns and the expectations that we need.
And the strategy will allow you to determine what markets will be able to deliver those same returns. And if you want them to be closer to where it is you live, then so be it. But yes, so we specifically invest in Columbus, Dayton, Toledo, and Detroit. But certainly you don't have to only invest there.
So once again, Jasmine, go engineers. We love engineers, and we think engineers can change the world.
Right.
We just need you to put those engineering skills into use to building systems.
Absolutely.
Systems for yourself, then systems for others. Thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. We're really happy you decided to sign up for this webinar.
Right.
As we mentioned, we'd really love to, have strategy sessions with anyone who's willing and open. We'll go ahead. We have another mark it answered. Yep. We'll mark those questions that answered. So once again, feel free to reach out. You can reach us at office@housingjv.com.
We'll type it in the chat box for you.
Yep. And that's office@housingjv.com. We'd love to explore your personal situation. We'd love to help you achieve the goals that you want this year, 2020. You don't have to wait anymore.
Not at all. 2020 is our year. And the thing about it is, in order to reach your 2020 goals, you have to make 2020 actions. So what are you going to do differently this year that you haven't done before?
So you've already signed on. We're happy you have. Thank you for joining us. Once again, I'm John Delia.
I'm Rochelle Delia.
We're part of Housing Joint Venture. We really appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. And we'll hopefully catch you on the next webinar. Thank you very much.
Talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.